of course, it is curb tax evasion, and this is really one of the major steps which government has to while introducing the GST law in the country, and it is going to be the real-time data entries for the businesses, and the lessen the scope of manipulation. This will help basically curb the tax evasion. And verifying the genuineness of the refund, it becomes simple and easy because the details which are required for the approving the input tax credit which are available on the portal, so it becomes easy for the businesses to claim saying that okay, these are my invoices such that I can claim it. And government also it becomes easy to validate. And going forward, though it's now applicable for the bigger businesses, going forward it is applicable for many businesses. Yes, the return process it is going to be simpler. Okay. Currently, the businesses are filing GSTR 1 and also 3B, and they're also doing reconciliation of this 2A and 2B to validate their input tax credit. So this becomes simple and easy. Okay, and the generation of e-way bill will also become simple. That can be generated through e-Invoice now onwards. Hope this is clear. Don't worry if you have any questions. Keep typing your questions on the chat box. We will take the question at the end. So applicability and implementation dates. As you already know, from 1st October it was applicable for the businesses whose turnover was more than 500 crore. And the notification which has been issued recently, now it is applicable for the businesses whose turnover is more than 100 crore with effect from 1st Jan 21. And of course, government is also thinking to bring it to everybody from the next financial year beginning. Okay, so all regular dealers definitely they will come under e-Invoicing. So by seeing the success of 500 crore businesses, now they have taken a second step of implementing this for the 100 crore. And yes, of course, government is also thinking to bring it to all businesses from next financial year. Some of the entities are exempted from this, like the SEZ units and insurance or banking companies. Are financial institutions which are actually included in non-banking financial companies, and pure GTAs are out of this. They will not do it. They need not do e-Invoicing. Supplier of passenger transportation service, for them it is not applicable. Supplier of services by way of admission to the exhibition of cinematography films in multiplex screens. So for them also it is not applicable. So these are the businesses which are exempted from e-Invoice. The next is documents to be reported to e-Invoice system. As I said in the beginning, generation of e-Invoice is not you are going to portal and generate the entire invoice, but you have to submit some of the information to generate the e-Invoice. So what is that is required? So documentation to be reported to e-Invoice system is for B2B and B2G tax invoices and for the export invoices, and it is also applicable for the outward supplies for which the RCM and the related credit note and debit notes. So these are the documents which requires the e-Invoicing. So what is the current practice? The current practice, let's touch upon so that it gives clarity to you when you are explaining to customer. So with respect to supplier, what is happening in the current practice? So what he does, supplier supplies the goods to the goods or services, and he writes the tax invoice to the buyer, and he will send the goods. And at the time of this, if the e-way bill is applicable, he will generate the e-way bill and he will ship the goods. And later he will file the GSTR 1. So this is in case of supplier. So in case of buyer, what happens? In case of buyer, what happens? He declares the input tax credit and other taxable liabilities in GSTR 3B, and he'll claim the input tax credit based on the self-assessment form, that is GSTR 3B. In case invoice is not reflected in GSTR 2A, so while he is doing reconciliation, he can do that in the upcoming period, or buyer will reverse the ITC. Correct. So this is the actually current practice. If you look at as a buyer and seller. What is going to be the upcoming practice? So upcoming practice is going to be simple. Now the lot of these intermediate things will come down. So because now the supplier is sending invoice to us buyer with a e-invoice. Now the information which are already available on the portal. So government may stop in between many things which now dealer is doing, the taxpayer is doing. Okay. So this is going to be one of the major shift which is going to come after implementation of e-invoicing. So then what are the benefits of the e-invoicing for businesses? So one is we have seen at the government side. Now what are the benefits for the businesses? What are other benefits basically? The benefits is now the mismatch errors definitely it will reduce. And it is going to be real-time tracking now. Every time the seller raises the invoice and he uploads those details on the portal, which is now reflected in my portal on GSTR 2A, and through which yes you can get your input tax credit, all genuine input tax credit faster. And the integration of all system is expected to reduce the compliance burden to the taxpayer. So currently it is not completely reduced, but going forward, yes, you can see this. The e-invoice is going to reduce the burden of taxpayer with respect to e-filing. So modes of generating e-invoices. What are the modes of generating e-invoices? The various methods are available to generate the e-invoice in the IRP portal. So IRP is Invoice Registration Portal. It's a government GSTN portal through which the businesses can actually go and upload the invoice details to generate the e-invoice in a business portal. So this business portal option is given only for the larger businesses whose turnover is more than 500 crore. Because when this was launched, many businesses represented and they said we are not completely ready with the system. So government has given an alternative option of the business portal where they use that portal to generate the e-invoice. It is not this thing compulsory, or it is not going to be there in future. Currently it is given only for the larger businesses. And another option is you can always go to the IRP portal and you can directly make the entry on the portal itself to generate the invoice. Next one is if you are using any ERP systems. So through GSP using an API, you can connect to portal, provide the information and generate the e-invoice. There is also option of generating e-invoice through SMS. And there is also mobile app provided by the government that can be used to generate e-invoice. And of course, there are offline tools which is again provided by the department itself. They have given an Excel tool wherein the taxpayer will go and key in those required information in the Excel and convert this to JSON file, and will go and upload in the IRP portal to generate the e-invoice. So these are the various modes are currently available to generate the e-invoice. Let me just quickly touch upon about this offline tool Excel. So in offline tool Excel, again they have given some different formats from A to D. So there actually it is given some various information is asked. The content of each sheet has got information like invoice and item details, and invoice details and item details they are asking in Form B, wherein in Form C they are asking invoice details, item details, payment and invoice reference details they are asking, and all details in format C clubbed into one single sheet. So automatically this will be clubbed. and when it is expected to be used, so one or two items with limited number of invoices, the large number of invoices with large number of items, they can use this format, and large volume invoices and larger number of items and additional information if they want to enter in the invoice, then this form C can be used. So like this, these are the offline tools which are available, provided by the government department. They can use this, and as you know, this is applicable currently only for B2B and B2G. If you are billing to business or if you are billing to government, either it is local sale or interstate and export. Okay. Let's see what is the role of IRP in e-Invoice. The role of an IRP is very simple. What it does, so it accepts the e-Invoice document prepared by the taxpayer by any method or any option they are using, either through offline tool, either through SMS or from ERP system. So it accepts those things and it validates those documents as per the invoice schema, and it actually does check within the system which they have developed, and then it generates the e-Invoice. And when it generates, the e-Invoice is generated, it generates with a unique reference number that is called invoice reference number. It is also called IRN, and which is digitally signed with department, and along with that it also gives a QR code with a high level details. High level meaning the top level information which are required for the invoicing. So these two are important here: IRN number and QR code. So these things will taxpayer will get it, and now taxpayer can actually put these two things in his invoice, print the invoice and send it to buyer. So what is the role of GSP in invoice? I think you heard this GSP, and you will also know that Tally companies also one of the GSP. So yes, now the role of a GSP in e-Invoice is very much required. What GSP does here? So the role of a GSP in e-Invoicing is, so what it does is actually it creates a intermediary between the business and the IRP system. So it authorizes this being a GSP, and the taxpayer will not be able to connect the IRP system directly. Please note, no taxpayer can connect to the IRP system directly. That's why they have to go through GSP only. And taxpayer can only connect through the official government sponsored GSPs. Okay. And it is an intermediate between the taxpayer and the ISP server maintained by the government. Taxpayer, what it does, he upload the data first to the GSP server, which is maintained by GSP, and then there is a security check happens. That is why this is the role of a main role of a GSP. GSP actually does a security check. Then information sends to the IRP system, and the GSP generally use the APIs to connect to the IRP system. After the security check, the data will be sent to the IRP system, and there the validation happens, and after that the e-Invoice is generated. So the GSP, what is the main another role of the GSP? It solves the aspects of availability, scalability, and reliability. Okay, and also the security purpose. It takes care of that, and it ensures so all the required rules and laws which are governed by the department are met. Okay, to generate the e-Invoice. So what are the precursor activities to e-Invoice? So now what should I do, sir? Now how should I start? The one thing is now, if based on this amendment to the law, what department has done is department already sent a communication to these customers saying okay, you are crossing 100 crore limit, and you need to start generating e-invoice from the specified date. So this communication has gone, and they have to register. So what they should do is, now the first step, they should, after receiving this communication, they should log on to IRP portal, and they should complete the registration process, which is again provided in the communication itself. They have to go and provide all the information and register in the IRP system. So at the time of registering, yes, there is an option given for them to choose an GSP. Since now you are communicating and you are discussing with your partners or your customers who comes under this e-invoice, you can tell them they can select Tally as a GSP. The Tally GSP name is going to be displayed there as Tally India Private Limited. So Tally India Private Limited is one of the GSP. They can choose that. Suppose if somebody missed out choosing GSP at the time of registration, no problem. They can still select the required GSP at the time of generating e-invoice. Okay. Then once it is ready, they can start generating the e-invoice. Okay. It is clear till now. Again, I remind you, if you have any doubts in your mind, keep writing those questions. We will take at the end of the session. So e-invoice generation flow. Let's see quickly that how the flow happens. So in this scenario, what we are taking, the seller to have a JSON preparation utility from Excel or Word, okay, and ERP accounting software or mobile app, etc. You can use anything. So what he does, he digitizes the business transactions using any ERP system, and uploads it in the standard digital format called the schema to the IRP. And invoice information is published to the IRP system, and at the IRP system, as I said, the check happens, and it generates the IRN, and it also duplicates. That means the record is one record is actually going to be now recorded in the GSC system also. Okay, and the JSON file, the digital signature of IRP will be provided with QR code and IRN number. Since now you already uploaded in the IRP system, so your GST system is also going to be updated now with the invoice information, and it gives the digitally signed return JSON to the seller with QR code and included in it. And seller receives the digitally signed JSON of invoice that contains QR code. And buyer also can use this QR code to verify the invoice. Now, since the QR code is printed in the invoice, now buyer can verify whether it is a valid IRN and QR code is there or not. So with his scanning option, you can also check. On the portal also you can go and check. So buyer can use the ITC related to the invoice in his GSTR 2A. Since now it is already uploaded there, so it becomes one valid document for him to claim the input tax credit. The next step is it sends the authenticated payload to the GST system and sends e-way bill to the system. So in GST system, what happens? The GST system now it has got a unique invoice number which is generated by the seller, which is going to be recorded here, and the same thing will get reflected in the GSTR 2A. And another very important thing here is this all information is also available for the e-way bill system to create the e-way bill. Okay. Hope this flow is clear. Don't worry if you have missed out some step and not very clear. So once you go through the product walkthrough and once you do one e-invoicing for your customer, you can easily understand these things. E-invoice details. So in the e-invoice, what are the details will be there? The seller details, name, address, GSTN number, PIN code, etc. will be printed, and buyer details, container details, dispatch details, and quantity item wise details and the date which is related to the invoice, and if it is export details, and deliverable details if it is applicable. So those things are mentioned in the invoice. E-Invoice. Let me quickly explain you what is IRN. So as I said, IRN is invoice registration portal. So invoice reference number. So invoice reference number is a unique number which is generated from IRP, and it helps buyer or tax authority to find out. Okay, with this unique number, they can always go and check in the portal, and this will help buyer as well as department. So IRN will be formed by combining the following details, basically, which is with there is an algorithm technique which is used, SHA-256 hash. This algorithm technique is commonly used to generate any unique numbers. That is also used here within IRP. So the supplier GST number, financial year, document type, and invoice number. With all these combination, it generates a IRN. What is e-Invoice life cycle? So e-Invoice life cycle is invoice is raised by the supplier, and invoice is uploaded to IRP. So once he generates this in the IRP, he has to upload this within 48 hours. However, currently allowed up to the return filing. So what it means? Currently for 500 crore companies, they have given a relaxation. They can upload before filing the return. We can say now option is given for 30 days. But going forward, it will not be again 48 hours. It may get reduced to 3 hours. But with the implementation for the next step, they are now putting it for 48 hours. IRN is generated successfully. So invoice is printed with IRN details and QR code handed over to the buyer. This is the life cycle of your e-Invoice. So what are some other information to look at with respect to e-Invoice life cycle? So e-Invoice, just a minute. So e-way bill can be also generated along with e-Invoice through IRP portal. Now, if e-way bill is applicable for this, he can generate e-way bill through IRP system itself. So IRN is mandatory. If you are generating e-way bill in e-way bill system, yes, IRN is mandatory to generate e-way bill. And using IRN and e-way bill, so you can generate the IRN. You can generate it in IRP portal or in e-way bill portal. So for invoices that do not require the registration on IRP, that is basically B2C invoices, for those e-way bill only can be generated through e-way bill portal. Okay. So the e-Invoicing is only applicable for B2B. If take a scenario where there is a B2C for which maybe e-way bill is required, e-Invoicing may not be required. So in such case, he has to go and generate the e-way bill in e-way bill portal. Coming to the modification part. So what is the implication of modification? Generally, these objections will come, and these are practical scenarios which happens at businesses at the time of generating e-Invoicing. So e-Invoicing once generated cannot be modified on IRP system. Because every e-Invoice is generated with a unique code, no one can go and modify it. Modification option will not be given here. Then what is the option for them? So they need to cancel it. So e-Invoicing has to be cancelled, and they have to regenerate the e-Invoice. Either it is partial cancelled or it is fully cancelled, but they have to generate a fresh IRN. So new invoice will have to be raised in the IRP system with a new number. Same number cannot be used. So e-Invoice can be cancelled. So now there is a cancellation, completely the cancellation. I have generated an invoice. So for some reason now the shipment is going to be cancelled. I am not sending these goods to my buyer. So in such scenario, before the next day midnight, 11:59 p.m. So he has to cancel it. Suppose by mistake or because of various reason he would have not cancelled it. So what is the impact? What happens? So he has to nullify that by using debit note or credit note. Okay. So e-Invoice life cycle with respect to sending to GST returns. So once uploaded to IRP, so invoice information will be auto-populated in GSTR1 and 2A2B. And if any changes which is required in the invoice, you can always go in the return and you can modify it. Okay, that because when it comes to the filing, if there is any changes with respect to any other changes, okay, those changes can be done in the return. Because he is going to submit the proof for those returns such that he can modify in the return. Okay. Yes. So this is all about e-Invoice domain part. Hope most of you got clarity today with respect to e-Invoicing as a domain. Still, if you have some questions.